Why do we fear the Uncanny Valley by Meister?
Take a look at this image.
I don't like it.
How does it make you feel?
I don't like it.
Spooked? Frightened? Bewildered, maybe?
Why is he talking like that?
This is the uncanny... Okay, you all probably know what the Uncanny Valley is.
No, I don't. Tell me what it is.
But if you don't, it's a psychological theory that explains the discomfort people feel towards something that looks almost human, but not quite. As shown in this graph, as something becomes more human-like in appearance, people respond more positively to it, until a certain point where we find it disturbing. This dip or valley in affinity is called the Uncanny Valley.
Why do you think that is?
For example, dolls. At the midpoint of the graph, we might have something like this. You can tell that it's not human, it's cartoony, and doesn't have super realistic features, but then we have something like this. Now, me personally, I find this a little creepy.
Oh, hell
I don't know
nah.
what it is, but
catch my daughter having something look like that. I'm
eyes,
kicking it out the window.
I don't like it. Now, it does vary depending on the person. Obviously, these toys sell, so not everyone finds these creepy. But there is a reason dolls are a big part of the horror
Annabelle,
genre.
I hate that movie.
In this video, I'm not going to be focusing on what the Uncanny Valley is, as I kind of just did that, and plenty of others have already covered it. Instead, I'll be exploring the different theories that try to explain why we fear the Uncanny Valley.
Yes, why is it?
What in our evolutionary past or psychology gives us this fear of things that look almost human? Will we uncover the answer? Well,
my guess, this is my guess, before he says anything, my guess is at one point, long ago, when we, probably so long ago that we didn't even know how to speak yet, right? This is before recorded history. There were things that looked kind of like us, but not all the way like us. And they were evil things and that tried to kill us. So we have evolved to avoid things that look like that. It's probably an alien, honestly. That's my guess.
You'll have to stick around to find out as we dive into the mystery of the Uncanny Valley.
Where's the intruder?
Fair warning, this video will contain imagery that people may find disturbing, so leave now if you don't like that. You know what? Actually, let me get this out of the way.
I love disturbing imagery. Oh, right. Jesus.
That was the scariest one. Not that bad, right?
No, that was great.
On to the theories. The theory of mate selection suggests that uncanny features make us feel uneasy because our brains are wired to avoid potential mates who show signs of low fertility, poor health, or weak immune systems.
Oh, damn, that's rough.
I can see how this could make sense. People have a natural reaction to others they would or wouldn't like to. But doingle.
That's why you guys in chat are all single. It's not because of anything that you guys did. It's just you guys are uncanny. But doingle.
More attractive people are received more positively in our minds, and less attractive people, not so much. I mean, look at modeling, movies, TV, even politics. A lot of it is cultural.
So what you're saying is hot people like myself have high fertility rates. That's what he's saying. He's saying that hot people like myself have I'm fertile.
Sure, but our brains are wired to favor more attractive people. Though I don't really agree.
Why does he keep putting
theory.
Thanos up for attractive people?
We can find people of a group we aren't attracted to unattractive or frightening. Like, we can see straight dudes bullying other straight dudes for being unattractive. Or I guess in the case of the Uncanny Valley, a straight girl can find Momo scary. And for another, I mean, come on. You really think people are scared of these things because they don't want to do the devil's tango with them?
I wouldn't.
Speaking of the devil.
What is happening? Oh, it's a religious theory, okay. They're demons.
Many creatures from folklore and religious texts fall into the Uncanny Valley. Creatures like the Nephilim and the devil from the Christian Bible,
I'm not racist against
the
purple
Golem
people
in Jewish folklore,
I just
or the
wouldn't have sex
Wendigo
with them.
from Algonquin cultures. All of these are human-like creatures with something unsettlingly off. The Nephilim and Golems, for instance, are giants, larger-than-life versions of human beings. The devil has the form of a man, but with animalistic features, and the Wendigo, as described by Basil H. Johnston, has skeletal, emaciated features
Appearance
as if
is
it were
debated.
a hollow shell of a person. A common theme in these creatures is the idea of soullessness or a broken soul. The idea that they are human-like beings but distinctly lack the sort of thing that would make them truly alive or human. Kind of like how I feel when someone says Mosasaurus or Pterodactyl's a dinosaur, which they are not.
I didn't know
But
that.
soullessness is also something we associate with robots or dolls. Human-like, but completely artificial entities. This theory, I like to call the religious theory, suggests that our fear of the uncanny comes from a deep-rooted fear of the soulless, demons, fallen angels, golems, beings that resemble us but lack what truly makes us human. Personally though, just like the last theory, I'm not totally convinced.
Yeah, I don't like that one.
It's not that I dismiss the theory because it's religious. Rather, I find it hard to believe that we fear something simply because it lacks a soul.
Yeah, how would
After
we
all,
know?
there's a lot more concrete evidence backing up other theories.
And
Still,
that would mean that dolls that are cute, right? Because he said dolls that aren't that human looking aren't creepy, but the ones that are more human looking are creepy. So wouldn't all dolls be creepy because they're all soulless? You know what? I'm gonna shut up.
Still, it's an interesting perspective to consider as we explore other theories that may be a little more convincing.
Okay, let me hear the other ones. Ugh, get away, back up. Music changed. Oh, that's just predator theory. This is what I was saying.
The predator theory suggests that there used to be human-like creatures that preyed on
I've heard this
humans
before.
in the past. Similar to the religious theory, a lot of people associate things like giants, demons, mythological creatures, and cryptids. This is different from the mimic theory, though, which I'll get into later, as that these are just creatures that look like humans and are not intentionally trying to mimic humans. The only evidence people really have to back up this theory, though, is saying something like, oh, well, so many cultures across the world have stories about humanoid creatures. They gotta be real, right?
Why is he talking like that?
We have
Why is he
stories about
purple?
humanoid creatures today. A bunch of them. Take the rake, for example. There are people who believe this creature exists despite obvious proof of it originating on the internet, on 4chan, or Slenderman. 2 girls stabbed their friend over this guy.
Slenderman's real.
If you believe this theory, I don't blame you. It spread a lot across TikTok and Instagram, which, if you've seen my other videos, you should know is kind of a theme. Now, I will say, there is actual evidence of humanoid creatures existing with our ancestors. They're called Neanderthals and other hominids. Now, this is another theory people throw around, the other hominid theory, as I like to call it.
Yes.
The theory that we developed a fear of ancient hominid species because they look like us, but just a little off, and we competed with them. It's not a bad theory.
It makes sense to me.
Some of these guys do look a little freaky. Me personally, I don't find them that scary. But one of the main problems I have with this is, if we were so freaked out by these guys, why the hell do I have Neanderthal DNA? I mean, my ancestors bred with these guys. Plus, some of these...
Hey, all I've got to say is there's some freaky bitches out there that are into some weird shit. So at the end of the day, if something scares me, they might be into it. Just like this guy who apparently thinks purple people are attractive. I don't think so. So that's a stupid
that are part
argument.
Of the Uncanny Valley do not look like some of these hominids.
Yeah, that's true though, I will say. But what? We don't know what they look like either. That's just what someone drew. We don't know. The disease theory. Ooh.
The disease theory suggests that our fear of human-like objects and creatures might come from a prehistoric instinct to avoid corpses and sick people. And it makes sense when you think about it. Robots and dolls that look almost human often have stiff, unnatural movements and lifeless expressions, kind of like someone who's sick or dead. The theory is that our brains still pick up on these signals as a warning, just like it did for our ancestors.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense,
now
actually.
We're dealing with robots, dolls, weird CGI, and sick people. I think this theory does make sense for a lot of cases. Take this, for example, a prop of a severed head used for the show Dexter. Yes, it's fake, it's not real. Please, don't block my video again. It gives off some uncanny vibes, and it is supposed to be a recreation of a dead person, so it fits this theory. Honestly, a lot of Uncanny Valley images apply to this theory. For some examples,
You'll bust in a purple person. What?
Momo, with the shrink-wrapped, skull-like face and bulging eyes, This drawing by Sinister Scribbles, again, a shrink-wrapped, skull-like face with bulging eyes. That old YouTube video called My Dead Great-Grandma's Coffin in My Own Backyard, where that dude kisses a literal corpse. I'm not going to get more into that.
There ain't no way that's real.
You know. And even the police sketch of the Baton Rouge serial killer almost looks like a pale, dead body. It's even got the dark lips and exaggerated eye sockets. So, mystery solved, right? Well, I'm not entirely convinced. I know I said this for every other theory.
Though I don't really agree with this theory. Personally, though, I'm not totally convinced. I hate that opinion. Why the hell do I have Neanderthal DNA?
But I do definitely think this is the strongest theory so far. But there are a few examples that I can't quite fit into this theory. Specifically, CGI and deepfakes. Take a look at this image. Or this one. Some may say they're just a little weird, nothing too bad. Others may say they're scary. Personally, I don't mind them too much. I used to watch the Polar Express every Christmas as a kid, so maybe I'm just used to it. But I think we can all agree there's something off about them. But it's not because they look diseased or dead like the last theory. They just look off. So
okay, so why? Tell me why, damn it! How long have I been watching this? 10 minutes? Get to the point. This is actually a really well put together video, I'm not gonna lie. Just got some good editing. The mimic theory. Dude, the rest of the video is about this. This guy... I was sick, so my voice sounds weird in this part. Is he about to say that there's like a monster that can like become like a skinwalker? They become humans? So we avoid them.
Homo mimes phallicis, or more simply known as the doppelganger. A fictional creature concept created by user Ohio Pingu69, what a name, on r/speculative evolution.
He invented
The doppelganger is a mammalian creature that evolved a particular fancy for human flesh, and relies on it solely as its food source. Evolving in Africa alongside humans, the doppelganger gained adaptations to help it hunt humans in the dark. A lanky body with long limbs that both helped it climb and reach speeds up to 50 kilometers per hour.
50 kilometers per
feet
hour.
That absorb sound, and of course, a face that mimics that.
Wait, how fast can like cheetahs run? Can they run that fast?
Would you be fooled by this?
I think they can actually.
Probably not, right? I mean, it's got no eyebrows. It's completely pale. The eyes are a little far apart.
This is a drawing, bro.
It overall doesn't look too much like a human. But that's the point. This creature uses the confusion that the uncanny valley generates to bewilder its prey before attacking. Now, of course, this thing isn't real, but it's a good introduction to this theory as it distinguishes itself from the predator theory.
Okay.
This creature evolved adaptations to look like humans because it hunted humans. Things like Neanderthals and other hominids look like humans because we have a common answer.
A cheetah can go 90
or if we
kilometers
go the religious route, things like giants and folk creatures, for the most part, don't look like humans to trick them. They just look like humans because that's how they were created. That is what distinguishes the predator theory from the mimic theory.
Okay.
Now, the first idea in this theory is that in our very distant past, as in when we were little rodent things or even earlier, there was something that adapted to look similar to us in order to trick us into trusting it.
Were you there?
Prey on us. Similar to the doppelganger mentioned before.
Okay, whoa. I wasn't giving this theory like actual that benefit of the doubt, but that's actually so true. Think of how many like animals in the animal kingdom, like this ant right here. A hornet is literally like they're trying to look like a bee, but they're nothing but like predatory. Dude, it probably is a thing. If all these other animals evolve to look like a different animal, but just be straight up like predatory assholes. Hold on, I kind of
and prey on us.
I believe on this theory now.
Similar to the doppelganger mentioned before, but way further in the past, and we've just retained that fear. The second idea is that something in our recent past has given us this fear, aka something that is purposely, with thought, imitating humans.
How would you know?
Obviously, the main idea of this theory is something supernatural, like a shape-shifting cryptid, or alien, or something like that. But it could also have relation to the other hominid and disease theory. It could be that these other hominids, or maybe even other humans, wore the skin of humans in order to intimidate us or other tribes, and it has been ingrained in us to fear
That
this
probably did
imitation.
happen.
There isn't much evidence backing up this theory. There's no evidence of non-hominid creatures mimicking humans.
Some
nor
animals can mimic human speech, but not appearance. Well, like a
is
parrot?
there any evidence of the supernatural doing this? I mean, there's videos online, but most of that shit's fake, so not much of evidence. Now, if you've seen my other videos, you probably know that I like to debunk stuff. The Philadelphia experiment, Deloitte ape, and the theories of the body girl are all things I've tried to go through.
I've never
and
heard of
find
any
the
of those.
truthful.
Have you guys heard of those?
With this,
Am I
you'd
dumb?
think I'd do the same. I mean, it sounds kind of absurd when you look into it. Humans wearing other human skin, a supernatural shape-shifting creature. I mean, come on. But
Yeah,
one night,
that's not real.
I was really thinking to myself why I feared the Uncanny Valley. I was looking at this image specifically when I really tried to think about it, and I realized this doesn't make me uncomfortable because it looks like a dead person or soulless, or because I don't want to badoingle it, but because it looks like it's trying to mimic a human. And that is what makes me uncomfortable.
You
And
think?
yet, I'm still not convinced.
Yeah.
I know, I'm sorry. So you know what? Enough of my opinions. Let's look at what the science has to say.
Okay. The science. What?
Okay, so I recorded and edited that last part
What?
before even writing this part.
So
Little
cut it
did I
out.
know I would not find much of anything that I haven't already said. I did find that the science for the Uncanny Valley is quite debated. In fact, the very existence of the Uncanny Valley, separate from other fears, is pretty debated. The most accepted theories by scientists seem to be the disease theory, and to my surprise, the mate
That one
selection
honestly
theory.
makes the most
There are a lot
sense.
of other theories out there. If you want to do more research, I've got some links in the description. But according to most sources I've found, it's most likely the disease theory. But there really is no solid consensus on why we have this fear, which is why I made a video on it, and why it fascinates me so much. It's something we really don't have a good grasp of. And it's something creepy that we don't have a good grasp of. So it just really gets me interested. But which theory do you believe in? Let me know in the comments. I know I kind of ragged on a couple of them, but if you believe in one of those, you do you, man. I get the perspective coming from all these theories. Some of these things look in between
All right, he's just yapping at this point. Well, I guess we got no answer. I mean, we got a bunch of theories, which I guess if there was one answer that was factually correct, then obviously we would all already know that. So I guess it makes sense that he didn't really give me an answer. But I like the disease theory. Makes a lot of sense. When someone's like super white and they're sweaty and they're like, you don't go near them because you know they're probably like sick. Or if they're dead, then they're super white. They like lose hair, stuff like that. So they're like bald. You know what? I don't know, dude.